Welcome. When we are talking about the various methods for analysis under demography, we need to understand some of the important terms and concepts. So this lecture is solely focused on understanding those things. Now, under measures of population change, we would focus on the terms ratio, rate, percent, proportion. How are they different? Under population change measures, we would talk about arithmetic, geometric, logistic, and exponential growth. We would be talking about terms like incidence rate, prevalence rate, per person day, per person year, child women ratio, median age, population density, doubling time, dependency ratio, so on and so forth. So that would be the agenda for this lecture. So as we proceed, we would discuss each of these terms in a quick manner, right? So to begin with, the measures of population change can either be de facto or de jure. What does that mean? De facto means enumerating all the persons who are present at a given point of time at a given place. Even if they are not a permanent resident of that region, if they are present at that locality, they would be counted. I take a simple example. Let's say this is a region A. Now person XYZ came to these three people came to this region for, let's say, tourism or some other purpose, but they were at that time when the counting was taking place, they were in the region A. So they would be counted under the region A. This is what is called as de facto. So it is very, very factual. Where you are counted there. However, under de jure, you are counted as per the usual place of residence. That means where you actually reside. If you are there as a tourist in place A, but originally you belong to place B, you would be counted under place B, not place A. Take this very, very carefully, right? Extremely important concept. I take another interesting example to help you understand. So these measures of population change could be understood by four methods: ratio, rate, percent, and proportion. We'll understand each of these one by one. But before that, I take a very simple example. Let's say we talk about survival rate. Now, what is survival rate? Survival rate is frequently used in demographic studies, actuarial studies, and it is the number of the persons in a cohort on a given date to the number of a person on an earlier date. So let's say 8 December 23 and this is 7th November 23, right? So the number of person on 2020, right? So number of person on a given date today to the number of person on a previous date on the same region. Now this gives an idea about the subsequent age, and this is calculated in the age distribution of the different censuses or from the life table. Now this survival is a rate, right? Why I introduce here is really important, and in a while we'll understand what is the difference between ratio and rate, which is really important to understand. But the sole focus for now is having a clear concept about de facto and de jure. Now the drawbacks of de facto, I did not mention that before. Drawbacks of de facto are really important because if you are taking tourism as a part of locality A, the administrative purpose, for the welfare purpose, for the schemes purpose, whatever information you are releasing, whatever guidelines you are bringing, all those would actually vary and would not be consistent. So de facto in that case is not considered as a good option. In that case, de jure is considered as a good option. So what is ratio? I say 978 males to 1000 females. Now this is what is considered as a ratio. So ratios are computed in the same manner, and in this same manner rates are also computed. But rate, we can say, is a special type of ratio. Why I say it is a special type of ratio? Because you are taking the difference of the two as numerator versus denominator. So in a fraction A by B, what comes on the top is the numerator, what comes in the bottom is the denominator. So numerator talks about, in the case of the same thing that we discussed before, right? We say the events that occur is the numerator, and the population at risk or the population covered is at the denominator, right? So I take another good example to explain rate. rate is usually considered in a more refined manner. So for example, I talk about incidence of divers. So we call it as the crude divers rate, right? This is not the crude death rate, right? I'm talking about the divers rate right now. So crude divers rate is the number of divers per year divided by the mid-year population. Now this mid-year population, it's interesting to note, this mid-year population would include all the people who are in the population. So in the rate, what is you are taking in the denominator is really important. So this mid-year population here includes, let's say, the people who are married, ever married, never married, widowed, all other persons divorced would be included. But if I actually want to take this into account, I should take a specific segment or the people who are at the risk of being divorced or something like that, right? And this being multiplied by 100 or 1000 would give me the rate. Now, common examples of rate that we cite are crude birth rate, CBR, crude death rate, okay, CDR. Now ratios are used why? Ratios are used to explain things descriptively. So ratios are descriptive. Rates are used why? Because they are for a specific purpose. Ratio indicate the degree. Okay, they talk about the degree of growth or the degree of change. However, the rate is different because it talks about the actual change in the growth, right? It does not just talk about the degree, but a concrete change.